Recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. Today, Mr. Speaker, I rise to give a special tribute to those fathers and their families who have come to America as refugees, escaping the harsh political and economic conditions in their home countries. On June 20th, we celebrated World Refugee Day. Like many of our forefathers, refugees came to America hoping for a better life. Refugees received sanctuary in the United States because they were in harm's way, they cannot return home safely, and they have nowhere else to turn. For generations, we have resettled millions of refugees from all over the world. They have come from many backgrounds and ethnicities. America has offered sanctuary to countless Jews, Eastern Europeans, and many others displaced during World War II. We have welcomed people from Cuba, Vietnam, and other Asian countries who were fleeing repressive regimes. In my home state of Georgia, I have seen how refugees have become an asset, contributing to the local economy and to the local culture. According to data from the Matching Grant Program, on average, 85% of refugee families in Georgia are self-sufficient 180 days after arrival. Many Americans know the remarkable story of the lost boys of Sudan. Thousands of Sudanese boys were displaced and separated from their families during the Second Sudanese Civil War between 1983 and 2005. They traveled by foot for weeks and sometimes years to refugee camps in Ethiopia and Kenya just to survive. Their resilience and hard work should be an example for us all. Defying all odds, these young men pursued their dream of getting an education in America and grew to become productive members of my congressional district in Scottsdale and Clarkston, Georgia. Nonprofit organizations such as Refugee Family Services and Ara Ara ISA, located in my district, provide refugees with the resources they need to become self-sufficient and adapt to life here in America. Thanks to services provided by these organizations, Ram, a young man who grew up in a Nepali refugee camp, was awarded a prestigious Gates Millennium Scholarship, a full 4-year scholarship to any college in the country. Ram chose to remain close to his family in Georgia, and he is attending Georgia Tech and plans to become a doctor. So as we celebrate and recognize World Refugee Day this month, let us take a moment to think of those refugees, and let us recognize those organizations and volunteers working tirelessly every day, helping refugees build a better future for generations to come. Let us also be proud as Americans for following our age-old tradition of welcoming those who have lost almost everything but have found in our great country a promise for a better tomorrow. Moreover, let us celebrate the generosity of the American people who have granted to refugees the best gift of all, freedom and hope. So I ask all of my colleagues not to cut funding for refugees just to score cheap political points. Let us instead embrace refugees. Except for Native Americans, we are all descendants of progenitors who came here under some form of duress. Let us uphold our better nature of compassion and kindness that lies at the heart of who we are as Americans. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Pursuant